guys, welcome back. It is Saturday, a really kind of a crisp, overcast, but kind of cool day here.
Fall is coming.
That's right.
I mean, it is right around the corner.
Exactly. So, welcome back for another episode of Homeschool Family Bites. Today, our conversation is inspired by my daughter's chemistry class. Actually, we've got our.
Who would have thought that?
I know. We've got our third child in chemistry, and every time this comes back around, and I'm kind of looking ahead at the year that they're going to have, I am reminded of that periodic table and the elements that we find there, and what God teaches us about our need for connections through that. Since David, though, is much more scientifically minded than I am, I'm going to let him expand a little bit on the science of what I'm talking about, and then we'll kind of flesh out the practicality of what I'm talking about.
When you think about the table of elements, the chart of elements, and there's 118 elements, depending on who you ask, because it's constantly moving. They're discovering a new one. There's man-made elements. There's they're just all kinds of, and science moves. Okay, and when you look at those, very few of them, if any, and I'm saying very few because for some of you people out there that are science people, one of you is going to pick out the one particular rare element that'll be able to exist on its own. So I want to say most of them, by far, they will not exist on their own.
Well, even if they do, they're better when combined.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So you have things like iron. And iron is somewhat brittle. It doesn't really work. But when you actually mix that with other elements and other compounds, you can build buildings out of it. Mm-hmm. It's perfect for that. And that was a big issue when they were discovering iron and they were working through the iron industry, was who had the best iron. And it depended on what kind of compounds they put it together with. You have gold, for instance, which is too soft to really be used on its own. It's not usable by itself. But when you combine it with other compounds and other elements, it is very useful. You have things like oxygen. Oxygen, it needs another oxygen molecule, right? You need O2. You have H2O, that's water. And so the point of this is that elements will not exist on their own. And so the word of today is connections. And we want to tie it back into this fact that you will find in nature, where the elements need other elements, or they need other compounds to truly be useful, really to be as useful as they can be.
Well, and the cool thing is, or one of the cool things that I've always found as I've kind of preparing these lessons and stuff, is when you look at that table, no matter how big it is, whether it's smaller like it was when I was in school, or 118, 120, whatever they're at now, that is still so limited. What if that was all that God had created? What if everything had to just be one of those things? And yet by mixing and matching and putting all of these things together, the creativity of God and the usefulness of these things is so expanded. And there's such a lesson for us to be found in that. Yeah. And that is, we weren't created to walk alone. We were created, and the Bible tells us throughout God's word, to be connected people, to be social people, to gather together, to be together. And, I think that we really felt the weight of that during this last several months, when those connections, those gatherings were taken away from us. I know when we had our live event in August and you started getting people together again.
It was like a reunion.
It was so awesome to be in the room with other Christian homeschoolers, celebrating discipleship and doing the things that we do together.
And you see that with church as well, because we went through this long period where you couldn't meet, and you still could have church, and some of you are still experiencing this. You could have church through video, through Zoom, and it was nice, but it wasn't the same. Church is meant to be with other people. It is making those connections. You need that. Yeah. You are not happy unless you're actually with other people. You need to be with other people. You are at your best when you are on a team, when you are working together with somebody else, when you guys have your strengths and you pull all those together.
Well,
it starts to multiply. There's not addition
right.
there. It's multiplies.
Right. Well, even in the passage in Hebrews where God tells us to not forsake the assembling of ourselves together, in that passage, when you look at the context and the words and all of that stuff, literally, when you remove those that gathering, when you forsake, that is leaving somebody in a lurch. Not your presence not being there or not having someone else's presence in your life is leaving a hole. It is leaving you in a lurch. They have something to offer. You have something to offer. And that is the beauty of living in fellowship with one another is we don't have to be left in a lurch. And so our encouragement for you all today is truly to be connected. It's so easy for us as homeschoolers to isolate ourselves. And probably easier now because that's, we're so busy with the stuff in our home and we're trying to get through all of the school stuff and invest in our children. All of that is so, so important. And right now, it's not even natural to go out most of the time. But it's so important to stay connected in whatever way is afforded to you because you need God's people, and God's people need what you have to offer too. Otherwise, we're leaving one another in a lurch.
You have this in the beginning of Genesis, where it was not good for Adam to be alone. He needed to have that helpmeet,
yep.
And God created a helpmeet from him. And so you even think about your marriage. You need to have somebody else with you. You will not be happier on your own. You need other people, and you need to embrace that. And you need to cultivate that. You need to find opportunities to be with other people. Everybody has these moments where they think about curling up with a good book and they're by themselves. And I'm not trying to say that that is a horrible thing to do.
Oh, no.
But you need to embrace the fact that you need other people.
Mm-hmm.
You are better when you're with other people. You're better when you're working with others. You're better when you're with your wife. You're better when you're with your husband. You're better together. You're not better alone. And so you need that, and you need to seek that out. And God has made you that way. And so that's the reason why we started this off talking about chemistry and talking about the elements, is that you will see this fact in nature, in the nature that God created. And he talks about that in his word.
Yep.
And so he has a message for you. And the message is, even though you may get frustrated with other people for whatever reason, even though you may get frustrated with them, you are not better alone.
That's right. That's right. So just a little bit briefer time today, but we just wanted to encourage you in that way. Now, we are gearing up for our new season of events, and we're actually really keying on Together Again this season because I think it's going to be the most glorious reunion ever when we're all able to gather again. And so we're starting that actually on Tuesday night with a Together Again Facebook party and celebration. And you can RSVP for that right now and tell your friends, and you can start winning prizes before the party even gets here. So I will edit in a link to that into the copy that goes with this video so that you can just follow from right here. Because we want you to be there. We want you to have fun with us. We want you to gather even virtually in that way and be together again with us because that's so, so fun and so, so important. And the other thing that I really wanted to tell you is if you find yourself isolated, even if you don't, I really want to encourage you to check in to Teach Them Diligently 365. That is a community that is growing together in such an exciting way. We've got a series right now that we're going through, Becoming the Mom You Want Your Children to Have, and the discussion that's surrounding that, the discussion in our app, in the community groups. These ladies are building tight-knit relationships with one another, and I invite you to join us there. I will give you a link to learn more about that as well, because that is another level of togetherness, of connection that will really, really strengthen you. And then as a bonus with 365, you also get access to thousands of audio and video resources. So it is a great tool for your family, no matter what element of it you like the best. So
one more thing, we're going to take tomorrow off. We're going to go to church. We're going to be with our church family, and we're going to spend time with them. We're going to do Sabbath. And so we are going to spend tomorrow. We're going to take it off. You'll still get an email from us tomorrow night. But we're not going to do Homeschool Family Bites
Right.
tomorrow. So we'll be back with you on Monday. And the other thing that we wanted to remind you of is that please like and comment and share this video. It actually helps us stay in your video or your feed with Facebook and
Well, and YouTube as well.
So we ask you to please engage with the content.
Yes.
And so thank you. We appreciate you joining us, and have a good Saturday.
Yep. And we look forward to seeing you at the Facebook party and everything else next week. Bye-bye.